Welcome to my session on working with the knowing field. I thank Innovibe and the Homeopathic Summer School for having me. I found my way here over Roland Günther, who was looking for a homeopath who is also a systemic constellation facilitator. And that's me. I'm a psychologist, I'm a homeopath and a systemic and family constellation facilitator. And Roland was looking for a systemic constellator to add another tool to his way of proving the crude oil remedy. And he was, as I said, just looking for somebody who is a homeopath and a constellator, and so my name came up. And I did that. We did that. We did provings of crude oil by systemic constellation work, by having people stand for this remedy for the crude oil. There's something in the chat. Can you talk louder? I can get closer to the microphone. Is that
much better, Rotger?
Much better?
Much better, yeah.
Okay. Please, if there's something important in the chat, I'm usually not so good in dividing my attention to the screen and the chat. Just let me know if there's something important that I miss. Okay. And remind me if I need to go closer to the microphone. We have a new sound setting down here. So I did provings on the remedy crude oil with constellation work, with having people stand for it. I will tell you about what standing for a role means today. And it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. I recall I was raised to see oil as a problem, really. And doing this proving of crude oil by standing for it and by establishing a connection, a personal connection to the oil through this tool, I think for the first time I saw the beauty in oil, the love that's there in the oil. In the very end, oil is alchemized sunlight over aeons of time. So it was really something to get in contact with this being of the earth like that, and maybe to understand it as the blood of the earth, as blood of the earth. And something we are doing is we're doing kind of some bloodletting of the earth by using oil the way we did. And that is something that I want to invite you to today also, to stand for a remedy. I will tell you what that means, standing for the role, and I won't tell you yet which remedy that is. I gave it a name, not a name really, I gave it a number, this. I will later invite you to please stand for the being and the remedy made out of that being, and I call it 124431. I connected that number with the being we will be looking at. But you can already now feel into that. When you see that number 124431, what comes to mind? What comes up as emotions, as feelings, as thoughts? And we will go there later too. And it will be part of a proving for this one remedy. So I will ask you, whatever you experience, to please share it, probably in the chat. Then we will see how we will do that. So that is one thing that I have in mind for today. a remedy proving by standing for it, and I will tell you how to do that. The next thing I have in mind is I would invite you to do a constellation standing for roles, a constellation for the summit that is coming up, for the Adria HEARTS Summit. And I thought of some roles that we might ask people to stand for, and I thought I will also already show you those roles, because when you see them already, you might already feel into it if you feel called for one, to stand for one. So later in the session I will ask you who feels called to stand for the best possible outcome with the highest frequency of the summit, the Adria HEARTS Summit. And I may ask 3 people to stand for that, so that we have all possible areas covered that we might learn from this. People can stand for, the summit has tribes as parts of it, and I will ask some people to stand for the alchemy and homeopathy tribe, the one field tribe, the longevity tribe, the living earth and the authentic human tribe, and the hearts in action tribe. And maybe we can see how those interact, or what they need to interact even more than they do already. And then further roles I had in mind to ask people to stand for is crude oil, because it is an essential part of the summit. The dolphins, essential parts of the summit. The land of the summit, where the summit takes place. The sea of the summit. And also music, because that was a stronger part as I understood. So this will be another part of it. I will invite you to stand for, to do a constellation for the summit. And the third part, but which will be the first part, is I want to give you an introduction into constellation work, meaning I will give you an introduction into a small part of it, mostly standing for a role. The constellation work, systemic constellation and family constellation, is a large topic, a large work. I can't give you an introduction into that. And standing for a role is one tool, one part of it, that in my experience can be learned rather easily, experienced rather easily, and also practiced rather easily. And in my understanding, it is something that homeopaths can make use of. And that's why I want to offer you an introduction into that. I think you can use that in your homeopathic practice, and I will tell you how that works. So, the title of the circle is Working in the Knowing Field. So what is that, the knowing field? How can we understand that? I thought I'd give you a first example. Some of you may know that in a systemic constellation circle, you usually have a client who has a problem and brings this problem to the circle, and then we put up people to represent parts of the problem. You have somebody stand for the client, you have somebody stand for the problem, and maybe for people who somehow are related to it or interacting with it. And then you see what's there and maybe something that you can do about it. What I want to tell you is, the one example, I went to a constellation circle as a representative, meaning I was not the client. And the client had a problem, and this was put up, and he asked me to please stand for his grandfather, to take the role of his grandfather. And I did that, so I stood for the grandfather. I will tell you how we do that, standing for a role. Anyway, I stood for his grandfather for a while and felt something in my body. I had emotions, I had thoughts, I had feelings towards the other ones who were there, like I want to come closer, I want to move further back or something. Anyway, after a while, a sentence came to my mind. And after moving it a bit in my mind, that sentence, I spoke the sentence into the circle. And the client said, that is exactly the sentence that my grandfather always said. That's eerie, isn't it? And as you have understood, I have seen the client for the first time in my life. And of course, I don't know the grandfather, and the grandfather was dead for 40 years. So the question is, from where did this sentence come to me? Where does it come from? Oh, I see a dolphin. From where did this sentence come from? And we think it comes from the knowing field, because it must come from somewhere, right? We think there is a knowing field, an energetic field that surrounds us and that carries knowledge, that carries information, probably information about everything that ever happened in the world. A field of knowledge surrounding us. And we have the idea that we as humans are able to tap into that field and download information from it. There is this idea that maybe information is not stored in our brain, knowledge is not stored in our brain, but that our whole brain may be an antenna able to connect to the knowing field and download the information we take. There are a few phenomena in neurology where people have brain injury and lost parts of their brain, and they still have no impairment, and it's not quite understandable in the common way to think about things. So it seems, or we think it seems, that humans are capable of tuning into the knowing field and download information from it. And one way to do that is standing in a role. Standing in a role means tapping into this knowing field. I could speak further of the knowing field. One thing that's important still is it may also be that the knowing field is not just a storage of knowledge, but it may be an entity like a being that has personality and a being that has intention. That wants something, that wishes for something, and we think it wishes for healing as many people as possible at any given time when there is a circle, so that so many healing movements can flow through the circle at the same time as possible. There's one example. Someone wants to go to a constellation circle, and the circle is on Friday. And the whole week before Friday, the one who wants to go there has pain in his foot. And then on Friday he goes to the circle and he gets selected to stand for someone who has been in a car accident and lost his foot. That we call that pre-field. That like the field prepares people before the constellation even to be in a good shape of working there. It's an example of the non-linearity of constellation work. So that's what the knowing field, what the term knowing field means when we talk about that. And as I said, usually we tap into that field by taking a role. I will come to that too. I thought there is one resemblance of taking a role to a situation in homeopathy. You may know this situation when you sit with a client and the remedy, the energy of the remedy, the being of the remedy is so present in the room already. Like you have lachesis and you feel the snake being in the room with you. The energy is so strongly there. And I hear that some homeopaths then don't give the remedy because they say the remedy is already there, I don't have to give it. I may give it later as a repetition. So we called in the spirit of the remedy. And this is rather similar to standing in a role of the remedy. Like you then can stand in the role of lachesis, and it's probably not so much different from the feeling the entity in the room with you. I thought this is a situation when homeopaths that homeopaths know rather well. So what does it mean standing in a role, and how do we do that? In my experience, it really means I decide I now stand for this grandfather. It's an inner decision. I now take the role of this grandfather. In my imagination, I empty myself just a little, but I don't even think that's necessary. I really think it's intention and decision. I now stand for the grandfather. I now stand for lachesis. And by this decision, we somehow open our body a little and allow the energy of the entity we stand for to come into our body some. And then we feel this energy in our body. We may feel some difference in our physical body, leg hurts or something. We may feel different emotions. Images may come to mind, sentences may come to mind, like the sentence I spoke as a grandfather. And we may react to the other ones who are there, either on Zoom screen or in the room where we are. That means taking a role. You allow another energy to be inside your body some. You don't leave. It's still your body, and you also stay in control at all times. Maybe that's important to say. And when you end standing for a role, in my experience, it's the same. You simply say, I now am myself again, and usually the role leaves then. That's what you do. And I have not found anyone not capable for this. It seems to be a human capability. There are other traditions where it's, for example, named becoming a hollow bone, the shamanic tradition. To be a hollow bone and allow energy in to flow through you and to be experienced by you. Sometimes people stand for roles and they fear they can't do it. And they say, I don't feel anything. Most of the times, this means they stand for someone who hasn't felt anything. That's often the role of a perpetrator. When you are a perpetrator in a constellation, perpetrators may not feel anything when murdering people or something. So the not feeling may belong, it more often than not belongs to the role and not to the person. We all seem to be able to do it, and some are more gifted, of course. That happens. I may already say, when I do constellations, we usually do constellations and putting up a problem of somebody else, which is a human problem, a common problem in daily life, right? I have problems with my son, with my spouse, with my parents, with my job, anything. When you stand in such a constellation, it does come upon that you take a role, and the role touches something inside of you, and it gives you work to do because you yourself also have that topic. Constellation work teaches us that we are not just different as people, but that we are also similar in the troubles we fight with, we work with. So that sometimes means when you go to a constellation gives you work to do even if you're not the client. And the role can stay with you a little and asks you to look at something inside yourself. Because of that, I always tell before constellations that I lead, it doesn't quite apply to today, I will tell you why, but I always tell people my responsibility as a facilitator does not end with the end of the evening or the end of the circle, it goes beyond it. Meaning, if you get a role that gives you work to do, that gives you a hard time for a day or two, please come back to me. We will look at it, and it's free of charge. I don't take any money for it. It's part of my work. And as I will invite you today to stand for roles too, I don't expect those roles to give you hard work, because we don't do a constellation for a person, like for a problem. But I always say that always at the start of my work, if any role today would give you a hard time, feel free to come back to me, and we will look at it, and I won't take any money for that. It happens like once in every 1 in every 200 representatives comes back to me and says, this stuck with me, and then we work about that. I will give you one contact of me in the chat, and I mean that as I say it. If you need anything from me after the session, I do not expect it at all, but feel free to reach out, and there won't be any fee for that. Okay, so why do I think that constellation work or standing for roles is interesting for homeopaths? What can we do as homeopaths when we work with a client? Well, we could, of course, simply stand for the client, right? And what do we experience when we stand for the client? What gets visible in a constellation? The first thing that happens is we usually can have somebody stand for the client, and the one standing for the client usually speaks the unconscious of the client. And that's grand. That's something. I always give this example. You have a client who fails at exams. You have somebody who said, I have to pass this exam and I'm really well prepared. I tell others how to prepare, right? But anytime I go there, I have a blackout or I have an accident or something I can't seem to pass it, but I really want to pass that exam. Then you do a constellation, you have somebody stand for this client, and the representative of the client says, I don't want to pass this exam. It's highly annoying for the client, but at least we learn what's the problem really. We have the client speak his conscious mind, and we have his representative speak his unconscious mind. And if our unconscious wants something else than our conscious, the unconscious always wins out. It's always stronger. So what do we need to do? We need to understand, why does the unconscious not want to pass the exam? We need to find the good intention of the problem. We need to fulfill that good intention of the problem in another way, and then the problem can leave. So standing for the client gives you contact with his unconscious. And I imagine you might agree that if we give remedies to a client, we always need database on which to decide what do we want to give, right? And feeling the unconscious of the client is a very good basis for a prescription. It's very close to home. It's probably closer to the core of a client than does it get better when it's warm or when it's cold. Like it's in my understanding, it's closer to the core. You might ask how reliable this is. Well, it's some reliable. And I always tell people, you don't need to do this at the first prescription. You can do the prescriptions just how you learned them. But if you have given 10 remedies, maybe for the 11th one, you might try something else. So you can stand for the client. You can stand for the disease, and that is great too. I have stood for many diseases, and the fascinating situation of any disease is they are all friendly, all of them. Any cancer I stood for is friendly. Any condition I stood for is friendly, and they all have a good intention that they follow through with bad means. So the cancer has a good intention for the client, but going there, he kills the client. The cancer kills the client. So again, we need to find out the good intention of the disease and fulfill it with other means. And standing for the disease, we can have it talk. We can ask it, what is it that I need to learn from you? What is it that I need to see, right? That is something. And if we find out the need that the disease or the condition shows up for the client, and we can prescribe on that, well, that's wonderful, right? Last but not least, there are further things that you can do with standing in a role is you can stand for the remedy, right? Like in that situation, well, not only that, you can be with a client and you think of lachesis and you just tell the client, let me briefly stand for a remedy. But you don't tell him what you do, but you stand, with your inner voice you say, okay, I now stand for lachesis. And you take that role and you ask your client, do you like me? Or you ask the client to stand for his own condition and see what's the reaction when I come in as lachesis. What's the reaction when I come in as lachesis 200C, as 30C, you name it. There are further things that you can do with standing in roles, maybe just naming them. I love connecting homeopaths with their healer ancestors, with his ancestors who have been healers, witches, shamans, medicine people, you name it. And as we all have millions of ancestors, there are some there. And connecting them sometimes works well by standing for them. You stand for your healer ancestors 4 generations back, whenever. And we can connect with them and imagine bringing your healer ancestors into this session with your client. You're there, your client is there, and your healer ancestors stand behind you. And maybe you even invite the healer ancestors of your client to the session and ask your ancestors to please confer with the healing ancestors of your client. One further thing is you can stand for past lives in which you may have been a healer and connect to that. You may stand for, that's not so much, what I love doing as a homeopath is I find power animals for clients and then I give these power animals in their homeopathic form. It's great. Like a client has an elephant as a power animal, but how do you get in contact with an elephant? There's a dolphin again, wonderful. How do you get in contact with an elephant? You can go to the zoo, but you probably can't even touch it. But we have elephant milk. It's great. It's wonderful to get this connection going, right? And one last thing that I don't want to forget is standing in roles is a great tool for supervision of homeopaths, meaning the supervision of the relationship between homeopath and client. Most homeopaths understand supervision with looking for another remedy, but really all the other therapeutic realms understand supervision as we need to look at the relationship of us and the client and what's going on there unconsciously. And for that, putting up roles is wonderful. You have somebody stand for yourself and somebody for the client with whom you have difficulties. It's a great tool. That is, in a nutshell, an idea why I do think that standing in roles is something that homeopaths might be interested in. I hope I could interest you already just a little, because do you think you have understood well enough what it means to step into a role, and we can try that? But I would love, yeah, wonderful. This you don't need to open your video, but I just so okay. And I would invite you to stand for this. We will do it this way. I will talk you through it. I invite you to stand. Well, you don't need to stand, but sometimes feeling is easier when you stand for a role. And then I will talk you through it, and I will drum just a little, and then I will invite you to stand for first the being 1 2 4 4 3 1, and then we will change while I drum a little into the role of the remedy made out of that. So first we do the thing, the being, or whichever that is, and then we make a remedy out of that. And I will hope that you experience something, and I will invite you to, maybe we do a few sharings, but I really want to be conscious of time because we have a full program. I would ask you to write in the chat what you experience, because this is harvest. This is harvest for this remedy, and we don't want to lose anything. And it's quicker if you all write it in there. I may read some, or I may ask for a few sharings. And after that, I will tell you what 1 2 4 4 3 1 is, and we do it once more. You stand once again briefly for the entity, and then for the remedy made out of that. Does that make sense? Looking good. I just want to go there because it's more interesting to experience this than to hear about it. You can hear me talk while I drum. Does that work? Okay. So then I will talk you through it. Maybe I'll put up the slide once more.
Rotger?
Yes, please.
If you want people open their video, please tell about it once more.
They don't need to while I do this. I just need to see if it works at all. So some thumbs ups is good, and maybe later on when we do the constellation, we would need videos open. But at the moment, I think we're good. Thank you for asking. What is this? So, okay. So then, I would invite you to either stand or to find a way to sit that feels comfortable for you. Maybe take a good breathe in and out. And maybe before we go there, just once feel how it feels to be here at this time in this group. And then while I start drumming, I invite you to please stand for the being 1 2 4 4 3 1. Speak with your inner voice. I now stand for 1 2 4 4 3 1. I now stand for the being 1 2 4 4 3 1. And then just look what comes to you, what happens. Give it a little time. Do you feel anything different in your body? Anything changed in your body by taking this role? Are there any emotions coming up for you as you stand in this role 1 to 4, 4, 3, 1? Are there any thoughts that come up standing as 1 to 4, 4, 3, 1? Any images, imaginations? Is there anything you'd like to do being 1 to 4, 4, 3, 1? And when you have felt all this, your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your intentions, then I would invite you to now change your role and become the homeopathic remedy that's made out of 1 to 4, 4, 3, 1. You can say with your inner voice, I now stand for the homeopathic remedy 1 to 4, 4, 3, 1. What changes when you become the remedy? What's different from the role before? Again, what feels different in your body? Any emotions, thoughts, something that you'd like to do? Anything you can feel there? And if you know the homeopathic potencies, you might even feel which one you are, or how they feel differently. I will name them: a 30C, a 200C, a 1M, an XM, an LM, or you like better the LM follows of 1 to 30 or to 120, whichever catches your intention. What changes when we go higher with potency while you are the remedy 1 to 4, 4, 3, 1? When you have felt all this in your body, your emotions, thoughts that come to mind, wishes for action, then I will invite you to already slowly come back to our circle. Come back to our circle, come back to yourself. You can speak with your inner voice, now I'm myself again. Now I am only myself again. You can speak your name. can pat your legs. You can turn around 3 times if you like that. So, the greatest fear of mine whenever I do something like that is always that nothing at all has happened. So, did you feel something? Did you feel anything while doing this? Okay. How many people are we? We are 38. I would invite a few sharings if you like. So people speaking what they experienced. But I ask everybody, if you have anything that you experienced, please write it in the chat, even if you don't say it in the group, because we don't want to lose any information. This is all proving of this one remedy. Is that okay? Just a few sentences writing in the chat what was going on.
Rotger, do you want us to comment first on the 124431 and then separately we put in the comments on the remedy, or all together?
If you can discern it so well, please do. Not in generally, we just want any information that came in. But if you can say this came first and this came second, that's wonderful. And also feel free to share it spoken, because that what's spoken is also recorded and will be transcribed. So whichever you like better. Would anybody like to share her or his experience? Raise your electronic hand if you like. Anybody? Yes, please. Tatiana. Can you unmute?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My experience, expansion, but at the same time becoming thinner and taller, as if energy that goes through me. It's like in a tube that goes up. Your voice was kind of disturbing me from going deeper. I would prefer silence. So there is some sense of irritation. Then numbing sensation in the arms, in that part. And at some point, I would see myself as a soldier, very strong with the armor, ready to go forward. With the remedy, when you asked, nothing would come up, but that pattern of zigzag going that way, and my eyes started to move rapidly, left and right, and then it was almost like a fixating and staring. The potency, for some reason, 200 felt right. Not sure. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Michael, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I felt well hypnotized. So I think it was quite, in that sense, relatively quick to come relatively deep with the drum and your voice, which became quite clear. And I felt hairy, like less human somehow, a bit more hairy. So
interesting. Interesting. Thank you. Somebody else? Yes, please, Lali.
I thought I put this in the chat, but I want to start by saying I'm not a homeopath, but I felt a lot of movement starting with my hair, my head, my neck shaking, and then my feet stomping, and then I felt like I was pushing stuff away, and I heard the word purification, and then release and release things so that they can return to their proper place. I wasn't in charge of where they went, but getting them unstuck. And as a remedy, I felt much more gentle. The movements were subdued, and I heard so that they could flush subtler places in an appropriate way, and any LM will do. And let there be peace on earth and let it begin here were the words.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Please mute again if you can. Anybody else? Have you all written in the chat if you did get anything? So simply that we don't lose any information on this. Yes, please, Rebecca. Oh, we can't hear you yet. That's sad. You're not muted, but maybe your microphone doesn't work too well.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I had you going through a speaker and the speaker probably wasn't reading my voice. Okay, so I don't know if this is relevant at all in any way, but
It all is.
so I felt myself going down a dark hole, like I was being sucked down this dark hole, and it's like a narrow hole, big enough only for like maybe a pipe. So like a hole that's the size of a pipe, drain pipe going down into the ground, down, 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 and down. And I was being sucked down this hole into the ground. And it's cold and it's dark and it's kind of damp and a bit wet. And I'm just being sucked down really, really, really far. I feel like I'm falling. I have vertigo. I feel like I'm not in control of what's happening. I'm just being sucked down this vortex into the ground, like really, really far. And it's cold and it's dark and it's quiet. And I can't hear the world anymore. So then I become aware of how peaceful it is here. It's like wet and cold and peaceful, and it smells like clay. That was me standing for the number, the substance. And then when I was the remedy, I feel stronger. I feel more grounded, more stable. I feel solid. I feel ancient. I feel like I've been around for a very, very long time. I feel like I am of nature. I feel like I can help you get back to nature. I can help you ground into the earth. I can help you feel part of the earth again, connected to nature, connected to creation, connected back to yourself, the self that was lost over time, the self that was stolen from you through industrialization, modernization, and the rushing bustle and hustle of the modern world. I can help you go back in time to the beginning, to where you began, to when it all began, and you can feel whole again, strong again, grounded in the earth. I can calm the sea of inflammation. I can heal skin issues like eczema and rashes, burning things inside. I can help you draw out toxins. That's what I got.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Are you ready to reveal what it is? So I think we have also quite a few writings in the chat. As I said, please write anything that comes to you in the chat. Also, if something comes to you that you would add later, just send it to me or to Roman or to someone, that we just keep this. Okay, so what is 124431? I know that Lali, you will love it. It's dolphin milk. So the 1-2 stands for the L and the 4 for the M, for the D, Lac Delfinum, and the 4 is dolphin, and the 3-1 is an inverted 13 for M for milk. I made this up a while ago, and you always have to connect these things beforehand so that they are stable enough to be connected. Okay. You may have thought that because it's part of the summit so strongly, but it still makes a difference if you know it or not, I guess. And it was Lali who sent us the dolphin through the picture before, I guess. So you were quite on spot. They also say that today, 8 of 8 is the Lion's Gate in the star constellation, and they say that the whales and the dolphins came from Sirius to Earth, and so the going back quite a while may well fit. I want to do another round. It will be a bit quicker, but I want to get what you feel different now when standing for it, when knowing what it is. Okay? Shall we do that? And it does not necessarily take very long, but I want to collect that too. What difference does it make if you know what it is? And what do you feel differently to the roles before? Okay? So please, once more, stand or sit in any way that feels most comfortable for you. And then I will invite you again. Well, first again, take another deep breath. To connect to the place you are and the time you are. And now, while I start beating my drum, I invite you once more to stand for dolphin's milk. Please speak with your inner voice. I now stand for dolphin's milk. What comes to you when you take that role? Standing for dolphin's milk? What's different to the first time you stood for it, not knowing what it is? What's different now? Again, what do you feel in your legs, your stomach, your arms, in your body? Are there any emotions coming up as you stand for dolphin's milk? Any thoughts, images, imaginations? Any wishes, what you'd like to do? What you'd like to do more than being here maybe? And how is this different to the first time you felt this energy? And when you have felt all this, what's in your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your imaginations? Then please change your role and become the homeopathic remedy, Lac Delfino. And again, what changes when you become the remedy, not the substance itself? What changes? what's different to the first time you stood for this remedy without knowing what it is? What do you feel in your body? What emotions do you get? Thoughts? Is there something you'd like to do? And again, feel yourself going through the potencies and changing through the potencies. As a 30C, a 200C, a 1M, an XM, an LM, or the LM series from 1 to 30, or even higher. Just flow through it. And what do you get from that? What moves? What changes? And when you have felt all this, your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your wishes, what you'd like to do, then I already again invite you to come back to our circle, to the room you're in, the time you're in. With your inner voice you can speak, "Now I'm myself again." You can say your name, you can pat your legs, with your inner voice say, "Now I am myself again." And again, please write down anything you got, and feel free to share also, if you like to do that. How was this, and how was this different maybe? Yes, Joanna?
It is different if you know it. And I can't really differentiate between the substance and the remedy. It's more being with the spirit. And I felt I can clearly communicate, but not with voice, but as if it's bubbles filled with melody and impressions and sensations, and like playing them back and forth. And I feel them mostly in my belly. So to arrive and go back and forth, and it's actually very joyful to do this. So this is what I'm with in the moment.
Wonderful. Thank you. I've been wondering myself sometimes, what really is the difference between a dog who lives in our world and the remedy dog milk and the spirit animal dog? And I sometimes ask people to change between these roles, to simply feel what's going on there between those. Anybody else who would like to share? If not, again, please write down everything that seems.
Rotger, may I ask Joanna? Joanna, are you a homeopath?
She is. please write into the chat anything that was different and anything you felt. Look at that, feel responsibility, weight of the world on my shoulders. Interesting. Thank you for that. We want to harvest everything that's there, and it all will add into the proving of the dolphin milk that will also take place in the summit. So in the summit, there will be another large proving of the crude oil that I can recommend dearly, because, as I said, also with the state the world is in concerning the heat waves, we probably need to get a new connection and a new understanding of the oil. And the dolphin milk may be something that is in parallel or in how you say, connecting with it and bringing that part that's missing of the oil. And there will be a large dolphin day at the summit also. Okay, if you have anything left to, wonderful. I thank you very much for this harvesting of anything we get on that remedy. That's what we can do standing in roles. And I understand that you felt that. You felt that we can do that. And just imagine how we can also teach remedies that way. It's something further. It's not better than learning from the books, but it's another way to go to understand what's there in the remedy, what's there to understand of this remedy. I do agree that I sometimes can't differentiate too well between the being and the remedy. Okay. So still, if there's something to write, please do. That's our harvest. Are there any questions at the moment? I wonder if we should do a short bathroom break before we do the constellation on the summit, but I'd be open to have one or two questions if there are any. If not, please keep writing, and shall we do 4 minutes break? And then we come back and look at the summit and do a constellation on it. Is that okay? Okay, so let's come back at 8 past or 9 past. A slide on the Adria HEARTS Summit. I will be there too. And if you like the work that you see here, you can meet me there too. And what we will do there, what I will offer there, will be some of these points. Meet your healer ancestors, your past lives as a healer, and your spirit animals, and get in personal contact with the beings of the earth and with homeopathic preparations. You just saw that we can get in personal contact with dolphin's milk by standing as it. The same applies for crude oil and really for anything. Standing for beings of nature changes the view that we have on the earth, in my understanding. I learned constellation work in Germany, and there it is a bit more theoretical than in the States, and we usually only put up people. In the States, I did a training with Francesca Mason-Boring, and she trains nature constellations, and I like to speak of my experience when I once stood for a frog for 3 hours, and I was so happy being a frog. And I did not know that frogs can be so happy until standing for one for a longer time. It was quite something. Sometimes I think what we need to do is to see the soul again in everything that surrounds us, be it the oil, be it the frog, be it the dolphin's milk, and that this might help us in the world. Okay, So you got an experience how we do that, to stand in roles. And what I would invite you to do next is to do a constellation on the Adria HEARTS Summit that is coming up. The summit is already there energetically. It's like it's alive and kicking, and it's finding its form. It's finding its form through time. Okay, I think that's it from me. I hope you could enjoy it. Some maybe change back the names of your role and then just step out of your role again. As I said, just say to yourself, I'm now myself again. And if anything would stay with you, then you can come back to me. But I wouldn't expect it so much. I hope you could enjoy it some, and yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Rotger. It was lovely.
Thank
Saturday
you,
Fun
Rotger.
Club.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you in Croatia.
Thank you so
Thank you very
much.
much.
Bye,
Yeah.
bye.
And the
Thank
water
you,
is
thank
my
you.
favorite water to swim. I know I love to swim all over in the Mediterranean, and that Adriatic water is divine. So make sure you get in it.
Thank you. Looking forward to see you all.
Bye.
Big hugs.